Hello, everybody. We're starting the meeting tonight at 6:01, November 14th. So approval of the minutes from July 23, 2024. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Melissa by Lynn.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you.
Any public comment? Is anybody out there? Hello, is anybody out there?
I'm here.
Okay,
I would like to introduce Candide. Candide will be talking during our pool plan portion of
Okay.
this.
hang on. I would just like to change the agenda real quick so that we can have more time with Candy. So I would like to move.
Can't change it. It's a special meeting.
Okay, no problem. Sorry. All right. So moving on, discussion and possible action on Emery Park pool. And Candy, are you up?
Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead, fire away.
Hi there. Good evening, everyone. I'm a bit in the dark here. Sorry about my lighting is not perfect, but I think you can see me, right?
We can see you just well.
Okay, would you like me to start?
So I think maybe just introduce yourself, what you specialize in, and then jump right into what you saw with our park and just some recommendations you have. And maybe jump into the estimate, which once you get to that, I'm more than happy to share the screen to display that estimate.
Okay, very good. That's easy. Well, so excuse my accent as I'm multilingual and sometimes may not be understood, so please let me know. It's not easy. It may sound like fun to have multiple language, but speaking 5 of them at one time sometimes can be confusing. So anyway, my name is Candide. I've been in the States now since 1985 and been in business for 36 years and working in water gardens, one of my favorite things to do. And from there, I grew to build natural pools, natural ponds, natural, pretty much anything. Part of my landscape and design and installation. So I became so kind of interested more and more into the wetland as I had a big pond in my backyard. And this led me to many requests from my customers on building natural swimming pools. I attend several seminars which introduced me to the equation of how is working with a swimming pool that is called natural by all means. So it's very much straightforward, simple, easy for me until you understand actually what it means. It's just a plain simple filtration done by Mother Nature, utilizing pretty much native plants, gravel, sand, and that makes pretty much giving you a clarity in the water that's utilized for the purpose of swimming area. And so that's why I'm here to somehow get you on the understanding what actually is a natural swimming pool and give you my best of knowledge to give you a swimming area for the town of Kent that is healthy, self-sustainable, and functionable for all purpose for the public to enjoy. So I'm glad to answer any questions regarding to actually is getting entitled to work on a natural swimming pool and what it takes. And I'm open to questions.
So I'm going to go ahead and just share the document that Candy did provide to us. And this document, can everyone see the estimate?
I can.
Yeah.
So, Candy, thank you again for providing this estimate with some recommendations, especially when it comes to the pricing as we start to become a little more feasible and understanding as to what the expenditures are going to be. So if you don't mind just breaking down for us some of the stuff on here, the natural swimming pond construction, the pool, the pond dredging and rejuvenation area, and then the engineering service plans and work scoop.
Okay. I'm going to find the same page as you have. I can only see a portion of it on my screen. So give me a second and I will give you that.
Go ahead and scroll down for everyone as well.
Here we go. That's better.
Perfect.
I have my own copy. So what's inside is pretty much using what we have now as a foundation, what is existing on site, which pretty much the base starting point from where we're going to be going forward. I explore all the possibilities, and the whole point is pretty much an expense part of it is figuring out what the best scenario that would be most cost effective. There's quite a few ways to introduce that natural swimming pond. It's called a pond per se. And so the status that by the state, I think we're so kind of restrained by calling this a pond, swimming pond. And we can call, if you want, for us, for as a natural swimming pool. Or that's fall in the category of the codes and what it is by state of Connecticut laws and regulations for the public swimming areas. But starting again, so from the start introduction before I got to the site, I see quite a bit of deterioration. So the bottom line is I don't think we can use much what's existing. And the part that is so far past behind what could be even restored, and the structure of existing is not suitable for anything to even to consider building something from there up. So we're literally starting from the ground up using the existing pool area to start the basic of a construction of a new swimming pool. And so using pretty much the structure of a shell, has a reinforced swimming pool set up with the base, gravel, drainage, using gunite, has a base structure to get us this swimming pool to the shape free form that we like. Finishing with a plaster that will make the whole concrete waterproof, in a simple tile around the perimeter with a walking around border apron about 4 feet, so that any swimming area can be utilized in one way the hard surface. So we go directly from the grounds, the grass, into a body of water, which requires restraint from keeping that water clean as possible and limiting some of the contamination per se. So Matt, tell me what you'd like to do, following up on the construction part, or so that's it for what I just finished. Sorry if I saw a little bit all over the place here. It's been a long day for me, believe it or not. I've been up since 5 o'clock.
See pictures.
Yeah. Candy, do you have any pictures that you could possibly share with us that we could see what a natural swimming pool may look like, or a natural swimming area?
Yeah, I can turn the camera around. I can record a few here actually on my wall.
You're sharing.
Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that it's much larger for you to have on there. And then I do just have a few follow-up questions afterwards as well.
So here's a quick sample here. Let's see if I can bring this to the camera and show you this one that was built actually in Newtown, Sandy Hook per se. I don't know if anybody can see that. There's two bodies. One is the swimming pool in the foreground and the rejuvenation area in the foreground. That is how we work by having surely separate entity, which pretty much, can you see with the reflection? I'm not sure. Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
So what that does is pretty much giving a swimming area that is totally free from any other environment like natural plants and filtration and everything else, and makes it simple as a public pool for this to be more enjoyable and have a little more control actually of the body of water. Can be done both ways. Can introduce actually some of the filtration part of the swimming area, but I'd rather not for that part, so it'd be more easier to maintain, and the best scenario to be a long life, easy process more than anything else. To give an idea actually what is the filtration for a natural swimming pool, I'm going to just show you quickly what we have here, which is pretty much straightforward. Let's see if I can adjust this with the camera. Let's see if I can put it straight so it can make sense. Sorry, I didn't have a slideshow or anything for that matter. So what we see here is a snorkel in the chamber centipede, where the water is going to be taken from, and this works two ways. One, by pumping water into the centipede, or taking water from the centipede, which filtrates the water both ways. And that is an intention to do on the upper pond after we dredge, after we clean, and take all the sediment and stage ourselves to introduce then this filtration. We call it the rejuvenation area. Because what it does pretty much rejuvenates any water that comes in and infiltrates to it. And this will be piped, hard pipe that to the swimming area. Does it make any sense?
It does.
Okay. So that's pretty much taking the water from the stream corridor that we have now, take advantage of the body of water actually is there, just driving by, literally like flowing, like it just there to be used, whereas used before. But at this time, we can do is actually control the body of water, control actually what's going into that swimming area, versus before taking pretty much whatever has available as a body of water from that pond and just bring it down to the swimming area without barely any control if there was. That gives the best really quality of water control, and that allows you to keep that swimming area pretty much clean, free, and the water quality that you can even drink it if you want to. What else can I tell you? Matt, let me know. What else could I explain?
So just to revisit the concept of the design of the pool for
Yeah.
for the large part of the ticket. So what you're recommending is that the current structure of the pool is not sound enough for us to utilize as a swimming space at the moment, correct?
That's correct. It's too porous, too cracked. The quality of work they've done, I mean, it looks like it'd be refurbished with stone walls / cement and wire mesh at one point, plaster, and might have a sealer over that. And it's let it crumbling and it's not suitable. But I don't see a way to be utilized, so it could be a cost saving compared to what we offer, because I wouldn't see that last if it is a few years. We live in the state of Connecticut with permafrost is well the issue. Had this been in Florida, I was like, well, we can figure out plan B. Maybe introduce a liner or figure out a way to seal this one way and make it more feasible, but I don't see that to be the factor.
Okay. No, thank you.
No.
To the group, do you guys have any questions for Candide on the estimate that's provided and the background he provided with how a natural swimming pool works?
And Candy, can I talk to you for a second?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so the feeder pond is going to be the filtration system. Is that what it is?
That is correct.
Okay, great.
With this, I show you pretty much the water is going to circulate and go through this vault centipede.
Okay.
And that allows you to get a crystal clear water control before it even gets into the swimming area.
Great.
So that pond above there, John, is pretty much going to be call it retention area.
Right.
And rejuvenation area. As is now still saturated, we need to do, number one is really to flush it, drain it, take all the sea sediment, and that'll be the foundation for us starting actually our rejuvenation area.
How many feet of water do you need for that feeder pond?
Well, that'd be good to have at least 4 feet. I mean,
4
it doesn't like extreme. The centipede I like to put as deep as a point as I can, 5 to 6 feet, to create a channel to do that. Then we put a centipede, and then everything else can be about 4 feet height with some gravel, multiple layers of gravel, and then plant material around the perimeter of it. For the long term, since we can't control what actually is in the pond, but you got to control also what comes into the pond.
Right.
As you see pretty much a lot of saturation over the years into how to get that filled, we create also a gabion, which pretty much is a smaller retention pond prior to access the big pond with some boulders. That becomes a maintenance area. We can go maintain, clean it as needed. So if you got a big monsoon, never sun, well, coming down the stream is Niagara Falls. Worst case scenario, like you had in Eastern Connecticut, where you have over a foot of rain in one storm about a couple months ago. So at least you can have a way somehow to prevent the whole area to be damaged or destroyed, or prevent it from going any further than a lifespan should be a lifetime.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Do you handle all the permitting and inland wetlands and all of that? And is that included in this?
100% yes. That's part of the engineering part that puts everything in prospect. The permit application, which shouldn't be a problem with the town, I'm assuming. Since this has already been established as a swimming area, as a natural swimming pond, and that'll be continued the same. So permits mainly for the drainage of the upper pond. and everything else falls on the category of just a straightforward building swimming pool. We're licensed to do that. We have a licensed staff on board. We have engineering, and me just mainly because of my knowledge. I'm the one following the project from the beginning to the end. I'm literally the expert. The engineers actually follow my instructions as still actually in the learning point here in the States. This has been going on for over 35, 40 years actually in Europe. In the States, it's been introduced, believe it or not, actually I was one of the first to build a natural swimming pool in Fairfield County. I had to introduce the town to actually is a natural swimming pool, educate them. So we didn't fall in the regular standards of pool codes per se, because it's so simplified, really. There's no motors. Everything's gravity fed and filtered naturally.
I have a question. My name is Miranda. One of the issues that we had talked about kind of early on is the temperature of the pool and how it is kind of limitingly cold. So can you talk about how you would address the temperature?
Haha. Well, we live in Connecticut, so we get expected to have some cold water, especially coming from the mountainside. So the pool itself have a shallow area, or what I'm guessing 2 to 2.5 feet, and the deepest point I believe would be 8 to 10. The goal also is to introduce an air compressor diffuser, so putting several jets not only in the perimeter of it to circulate the water, but also at the bottom to have some movement in the water to be less stagnant. I don't think we have enough flow coming from the upper pond to really flow to the point you can see some current going to the whole pool. The pool is 140 feet long by 78 feet wide. So that's a big volume of water to move. The only way to do that is introduce some infusers at the bottom of the pool. And how actually, like a fishbowl, you will see the circulation of the water movement. Having a shallow area is the best scenario. You can get really nice toasty water there. In the summertime, it's probably the warmest point. The deeper you go down in temperature, of course. That makes sense.
Would decreasing the depth of the pool impact how warm the pool stays throughout the time frame for the summer? Would it heat up, would it stay warmer, or do you feel that it would still be on the cooler temperature side with everything cycling through?
Well, the coolest part of the pool is actually an asset. As you know, water temperature as it rises has tendency to turn green and to kind of change color and all this good thing that comes naturally. All that will be filtrated, of course, but you still have sometimes high nutrients coming downstream that you cannot control, but be able to filtrate some of that 100%. So having really shallow areas, a lot of the pools that people see that have built, people have been turned off by a little bit of like green tinge to it, which is natural, by the way. There's nothing wrong with it. And so having a cool body of water helps control and take down some of the green and color of the water. Building over years, I realize actually the depth is actually a good thing, not a bad thing. People don't like to swim on cold water, but it's not for everybody to swim also in a natural swimming pool.
Was the plan that you've estimated out here, is it basically the same size as what we have now, or is it smaller?
That's correct. We're taking exactly the same footprint that you have there. That's why we base ourselves on it. For budget purpose, that's what I took as a first step. Eventually, in the long run, depending on the budget, can it be reduced to save some money? It's possible. Then it's up to you to decide what the best scenario is, depending on the funds, depending on the budget. If it's too far reach to get to that size, of course, small is less expensive by any means. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I remember using the pool and only using a certain part of the pool. The visitors to the pool only used a certain part of the pool. It never always got used. So I'm just wondering if we should consider going a little smaller or changing the shape.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, it's up to you guys to decide. I mean, it's up for you to veto yes or no. What is the best scenario? Can you use as big as we have? What it would take to have as a volume and size pool to have at least 50 people into it? The space for everybody? Yes. People are tendency to gather mainly in the shallow areas? Yes. So that would be a big factor. Can we reduce the depth instead of be 8 to 10 feet? Can we make it all maximum maybe 6 feet plus? That will allow more people to use pretty much the whole body of the pool versus be the deep point versus like the shallow area. People are more comfortable being in a shallow area versus a deep part. So it's many factors into this. It's up to then the board to decide really what fits the best purpose for what you're looking for. That makes sense?
It does, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Candide?
So if we go with a smaller pond, so that Matt, that would be going against the park, the inland wetlands and stuff like that?
It
Or
would be
something? I'm sorry.
You- going against.
You
Not
told us,
sure
you told us one time that if we had to change the design or the way it was, that we'd have to go through the park, at the inland wetlands, is that correct?
We would have to go through this back when Leslie was looking at the pool reconstruction in 2004. There was a recommendation from 3 companies that if the Park and Rec Commission and the department were to change the size of the pool at the time, they would have to go in front of the health department. It would have to be classified as a pool. This knowledge for a natural swimming pool was not present at that time. So I don't know if we would have to, based on information, I don't believe we would have to go in front of the Department of Health for the state and Torrington area health. So it'd be a twofold. But again, Candide is the professional who might be able to better answer that question. I did do my research. I have not found anything based on that update from just looking at natural swimming pool or natural swimming areas and what was intended for the town in 2004.
My personal take on that is I'm assuming that anytime you're changing a footprint of a body of water, there's always some controversies and whatever that falls into it. Back then, there was old laws and regulations. Things change as we go along. That's something to explore and see actually that something is feasible, in the meaning that we follow a different criteria now. Work with what you have. There's no changes. You use the same body footprint. Everything is there. Continue the same thing. No use electrical pumps. No falling into the code for these pools today. Changing in size can be possible, but I guess Matt, is up for you to also to decide and look at it, see what is in the state of Connecticut regulations, if you fall then to different categories, because now we change the whole footprint. You backfilling a body of water, like anything I do, I've done this for over 25 years in actually pond dredging. We can expand a body of water. Reducing, every town that I went to had a problem it was against, because it's taking away a volume of body of water that actually exists in. Not say this is actually considered wetlands, but there was been a negative for that part, try to reduce it versus actually having we have. By the way, if you go to a smaller size, most likely we never go back again to a bigger size. Most likely, there's a good chance of that because of footprint changing and the environment, everything else. Rules and regulations keep on changing year after year, and always get different takes on that. And so, for cost-wise, yes, it'd be effective. For the long run, may be a bit challenging, need to be explored and do some homework to find out what is the advantage on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
And just to clarify again, for the health department, if we were to change the size of it being a pool and we would have to fall into the category of the pool, yes, then we would have to go ahead and go through the health department, but this would still be a natural swimming area. So more than likely not, we don't have to go through for reevaluation and permitting to call it a pool. But again, that's something we would have to explore come closer time, because this would be a natural swimming area.
Correct.
And it's meaning that that notion and name. Any other questions for Candide?
No, not for me.
John, Lisa, Miranda?
Yeah, I have one more.
Yes.
So you were saying, it looked like maybe you were suggesting that when you rebuild the pool area, it's just basically a concrete structure. Is that it's like a regular pool?
Correct. Yeah, we use the exact same strategy principle, same basic products, same thing.
So right now, we had a 0 entry sand area. Is that something that we could still have, or does that not work with?
Yes, we can do. It's a bit difficult to build a swimming pool, most like a ramp as you're going progressively get into it. We had to take in mind actually of the handicap access for the body of water that we have there. There's new technologies and new things you can pick up an adult on a wheelchair and put them into the water. I rather have a shallow area with a minimum at least maybe 2 feet, which is not big by any means, with easy access, maybe a ramp on the side of it, but make it not totally a shallow area, be a 0 entrance level to come into it. For a few factors, the splashing of the water, the movement, people getting in and getting to this ramp slash can be a little bit slippery. It'd rather be easy to come into a body of water actually 2 feet deep, or maybe given access for an handicap for that matter, versus having, as you say, the progressive entrance to the pool. Descent is fine as it was before. I do not recommend to put descent. Has it very difficult to maintain. It becomes really challenging over time. It's not easy to have a body of water with sand in there, because eventually it's going to end up at the lowest point of the pool, which is the deepest point. With the movement, traffic, and everything, and the water, we end up at the bottom, and that would be a challenge then to bring that back up again. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Simplify. Listen, I'm trying to make it the best scenario. Everything can be simple and simplify. When I explain this to my customers, they're a bit like, doubting in the point. There's nothing simplified by any means, but it is. This is a simple body of water that's filtered naturally, put it back from point A to point B. The swimming area should be clean, simple. We had a choice introduced then to put plant material and sand and gravel in a portion of it. By the way, Europeans, we can go, we can see so many areas, actually natural swimming pools, some are acres long and big to the point that's actually incredible. I haven't seen anyone here in the state doing that yet, hopefully someday. And so this is plain basic natural swimming pond you can build. A shell, a clean body of water, some air introduced air compressor to diffuse some movement into the water, and with an edge, instead of having actually a skimmer like a natural, like any other pool, to have almost like an infinite edge where the water and debris is going to fall into a pit. It's going to be clean and filtered before it goes back to the stream corridor. So there'll be no skimmer, there'll be no suction, there'll be nothing mechanic interfering with anything or any movement parts that will break down, fall apart, or anything else. The key factor is really to send the most clean water as possible into the swimming area, so it does the purpose and gets out back into the stream corridor as clean as possible. That's my take.
Then I just got one more question for you, Candide. For recommended maintenance and service of the pool, how frequently for us, as we do consider the total cost of operation throughout, just 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year, and so on, how often do you recommend that we should be considering renovating the pool if we need to fix the concrete plaster, if we need to fix anything that would be mechanic? What would you say is your average for us to price point out?
Well, the price is to be seen, actually, what would be the commitment to it. I'm sure that John or somebody would be part of the staff at the pool. On a daily basis, it would be minimum to do if there's anything, to make sure everything functions and it works the way it's supposed to. A minimum once a week, should have some kind of a vacuum or figure out a way to clean and to make any part of the body of water that is not utilized or settle with sediment to be moved and take it away or flush out. Long term, the shell pump itself with the gunite concrete and the plaster is almost like a lifetime, versus actually introducing other materials. There's some paints, some polymers you can apply to make it watertight, but then the cost every 5-7 years has to be redone. In the long run, it costs it equal the same and becomes a pain to do that maintenance every 5 to 7 years. Highly recommended once a year, off season, flush it out, let all water out, clean the whole body of water, the shell himself, or you'd start actually in the first thing in the spring. I'm not sure if you want to keep this in the wintertime. You could, by the way. This can be a very nice ice skating ring. I have many customers used to fall over hills because they can utilize this body of water actually an ice skating place for the winter. That's a fact to take in consideration also. I don't know if a town has actually an ice skating ring, but this would be a place for. Has to be very little if it is movement of water. That water can be shut off for the winter time and it can be fluctuated to, of course, be tracking control. Make sure you're safe after 6 inches of thickness. That can be a nice skating ring for anybody to play.
That's a great idea. I like it.
That for me is a bonus at the end, because a lot of people with swimming pools at the end, they don't have anything. Then 3-4 months, close it, shut it down. That's it for the season. It's over. Versus a natural pond swimming area, you can utilize pretty much year round for all the benefits you can get from Mother Nature.
Awesome.
Anybody else? Anything else? Miranda, anything else? Lynn? No? Anybody else? No? Oh, well.
Excellent.
Great, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you much, Candide.
You're very welcome. Let me know if anything. I'll be available anytime.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Now we go on to fundraising.
I actually have 2 more things with the pool.
Okay, go ahead.
One, I did add to our folder recently. And when I say recently, I do apologize that it was very recent, but there was an article in the GTD
Oh, I saw that.
that is regarding from Joe Baxter with his support for renovating the park swimming pool. And if you would like, I can read it. It's very short. I'm more than happy to do that. All right, so to the editor, without a vision, people perish. I express my hope that Emery Park will be renovated to allow safe swimming during the summer season. Why is this important? The old adage, healthy mind is healthy bodies. The civic responsibility is to be good stewards of what we have, as there is a possibility of renovating Emery Park for swimming, and as there are many members of our community who do not have access to private pools and would swim regularly if there was availability, it seems wise, prudent, and thoughtful to make accessible what is manageably within our reach. This would confirm our town's commitment to healthy minds and healthy bodies, which is so essential for good citizenship. Joe Baxter.
Very good.
And then I got one more thing. Some really fantastic positive news. I was working with Barbara Herbst, our town treasurer, and I reached out to the individuals who worked with us on our ARPA funding, and we from the state for the splash pad, and we do have the ability to move the money from the splash pad project back to Emery Park where initially it was given to. That's a total of $100,000. I am working on that with Barbara at the moment, but I would like to discuss with the subcommittee and just ask for a possible motion of support to move the money from the splash pad project to the Emery Park swimming area project.
So moved.
Second. I think it's a fabulous idea.
Yeah, that's where it belongs.
It does.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll have to take back
We
now.
have a vote.
Miranda?
I mean, I think, if that's what the community feels they want to do, yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense to me. I would just want to make sure that we're not,
Overreaching?
I don't even know how to describe, like, if there's a certain group that wanted that, I don't know.
Well, we're making a recommendation. Our motion is a recommendation to the Park and Rec Commission that we agree with the transfer. So I don't think we're
Right, yeah. so they would
overstepping
have-
in any sense. We're
They would
just
have to make
the
the ultimate
recommendation.
decision. So I think that's fine.
That's where it comes into a little bit of trickiness. The commission doesn't make the decision on this, and after speaking to Barbara a little more decisively on this, since this is more a conversation, this money is managed by myself, the first selectman, and the treasurer. So I'm asking for just support on it. If right now it's where it is, it doesn't have to go in front of the commission for a proper vote. I know that it was moved and seconded and went through the motion of approval through the commission back in February and March, but from what I'm understanding, this financial piece does not have any say from the commission on where it goes. However, I like to operate with the support of the commission and decision of the community. So that's why I want to come to you guys and ask for that support. If this is a good decision, if it's not, then leave it where it is with the splash pad funding and just keep it at bay. But that's why I'm coming to you guys to ask for that support, opposed to just saying, I'm just going to go flat out do it. And we're going to ask for that money and just blindside and kind of do what my predecessor did with the splash pad. So
So my
Um,
second still holds. I'm good with the recommendation, so we can take a vote.
Lynn, you want to say anything? I guess not.
No, I vote to move the funds back over, though.
Okay, so the vote is,
Aye.
so passed.
thank you.
No problem.
Now, was there a deadline associated with that money?
There is, and it's December 31st, 2026 for expenditure.
Okay.
So we have time.
Do we have to just have a
We have time.
plan in place, or do we have to spend it?
Spend it. The other one that the money has to have a plan in place is the ARPA funding for the drainage at Kent Commons Park, and that's $40,000. And that one I'll be bringing to the commission relatively soon. So that's that's the town's ARPA money that was granted and sent out. This is from the state. And just to give a little more background on it, this money was given from the state to the town with the earmark for Emery Park specifically. Jared saw this and he felt that there was more of a need for a splash pad in Kent Commons. So him and Jean pursued the splash pad concept in Kent Commons. And after I have done some land use evaluations, going through mapping, and just going through what we already have in capital and some of the plans that we have in play for Kent Commons Park, it's just not feasible to have a splash pad in a very large flood zone that is a very large wetlands, and to try to compete with having a basketball court and trying to upgrade what we already have. It's such a confined space. And I could see the splash pad getting swept away if the Houstonic ever floods into that park, and honestly, it would just be a permanent splash pad. It might actually turn into a permanent natural swimming pool. You never know. That could be our multi-acre one that Candide was talking about. But that the funding then went to Kent Commons for that specific project. And then I reached out with Barbara to see if we could go ahead and move this back to Emery Park, and they said we can, as long as we provide specific details as to our plan that we have for the park and for the project. So that can be done, and I'm just going to await full commission conversation for that, which will be brought up in our next meeting on Tuesday.
I think one important part that we kind of had talked about before, kind of changing topics, is getting an idea of how much and the feasibility of putting a chlorinated pool, just for the sake of having a comparison to be a useful tool to try to persuade our case, right? Because this is, I mean, it's a big chunk of money. It's more than I think we initially thought.
Yes.
So I mean, I think it's going to be a hard sell for a lot of people to spend that much money on it, but maybe if we have something to compare it to, might be helpful.
it'll be interesting to see if a pool subcontractor will even be able to do that at Emery Park or at Kent Commons in wetlands and the topography.
Right, that's what I
don't
say, like,
know.
I mean, is it even feasible?
Right, I think that, that's gonna be a challenge. But I challenge Matt to find a contractor that will quote that. I mean, I know he's
Or
gonna
just
try
to
a good
have,
challenge.
Oh, good challenge.
have at least reached out and have documentation that says, we researched this, it's not feasible because, or it's gonna cost this much money, or, it's just not possible. I don't know, just something.
Yeah. I know that Leslie, when she was in the role, she had in 2004, 3 contractors she's reached out to, and I've been referencing those notes, but I will gladly reach out to other contractors as well. That's where it came from with the size of the pool and resizing the pool, and then referring to the current pool regulations with the state. They do need to be updated, and I know that they're going to be updated within the next few years and within range, but that I was referencing those documents for when it comes to what we're doing for our project, because that's essentially what is current, unfortunately. And I'm happy to go out and get some more quotes to price out what a chlorinated pool will look like and give that feedback to you guys so that we have it as a comparison.
I would
Um,
say the one thing about the Candide pool that you hit the nail on the head, Miranda, was it didn't really register with me that the zero entry or the sand component was gonna go away with this design. And the sand thing, I can probably get my head around it, but I would say that was a great activity for the camp kids. I mean, they spent a lot of time building, challenging, and young engineers at heart were in their glory there.
yeah, I mean,
And so
sand is great.
I hadn't picked up on that, so thank you for asking that question.
Thank you.
But I guess I just have to wrap my head around that. That's a disappointment to me.
Yeah, and I guess I can understand the maintenance issue, but it is a nice thing to have for play and also just having a zero entry is nice for like little kids.
I would
But
even say for older people, I mean, just being able to walk in and then submerge yourself in the water and get into the deep end in that way was invaluable for even older people.
and so I don't know, I didn't quite catch why he didn't think like that zero entry is a great idea, but I
I think
wonder.
it was the sand moving from that place to the lower part, but that seems like annual maintenance to me that.
But would we have to have, like, what if it wasn't sand? I mean, there's plenty of
Right.
other materials.
But that, for me, that it was the sand aspect and the play aspect.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I agree that there is value with the sand. For sure.
So more to discuss maybe on that, or other contractors might have a very different idea on it.
Yeah. And again, this is just one quote from one contractor. It's a good estimate for us to understand what we're at.
Yeah.
It's good to hear about some feedback on the structure of the pool currently. I know that was a big pending question for all of us.
And I think
So-
it's probably a realistic number. I mean, if we're building a brand new pool structure and dredging out the pond and, doing all that, I mean, seems like a lot, but it's basically a like a regular pool
Mhm.
is what I'm understanding, except with just the natural filtered water.
Yep.
One
And it's a
thing-
large pool. I mean,
I mean,
it is
it's
a
a-
large pool.
Yeah,
This is very sizable. I'll put it like this, your average, when I was at New Canaan, the Faris family lap pool is about 50 feet by 75 feet, and that's an 8-lane lap pool. It's a competition pool. They held artistic swim competitions in there. It's a very sizable pool. We would staff it 2 to 3 lifeguards. This is significantly more, plus it's considered open water because yes, it's a contained pool, but it's natural. There's the murkiness to it. So this is a very sizable body of water.
So
You just have
that,
to remember that.
yeah, that brings me to the question of how many lifeguards would we need to staff? I'm still thinking decreasing the size makes a lot of sense to me. I know it's permanent when you do that, but I don't know if we can even afford to staff a pool this big.
And also the size, and then like his answer on the temperature, I wasn't super, I mean, I think that's a huge factor in getting people to swim in the pool. Is the temperature. So if we can take off a few feet, I know it helps in not growing stuff, but I mean, if it's gonna be like 62 degrees, that's pretty
Yeah,
pretty
Yeah.
brisk.
It doesn't warm up there until like 10 o'clock in the morning. The pool.
Yeah.
Right, and even then, I mean, that's probably in the shallower area, but
Right.
if you're, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have a big deep area if no one's gonna swim in it because it's so cold.
I assume that was one of the reasons for the no zero entry, was reducing that really shallow part of the water grows things, but it also warms it. So I'm confused a little bit by what he said.
Yeah.
But I think the space is probably too, I would assume that when Leslie staffed it, it was probably there wasn't enough guards, and that's why the kids weren't swimming in the far ends.
That could probably be it. And I know that, again, with the way Connecticut recreation laws working with our insurance as well, as long as we're not charging us an individual membership fee, if we charge a fee where it's for parking or it's for a park pass, just like what they do for the state for all of our state parks, as long as we do have signage, we can say lifeguards are on duty 10 to 6, but swim at your own risk from this time to this time and this time to this time. And we just we have significant amount of signage in the park. And around the pool area or the swimming area, we can have times where there are no lifeguards on duty, but still allow swimming. Again, that's a risk we have to accept and take on. And is that something we as a municipality feel comfortable accepting in our community?
I mean, yeah, I think that's a discussion
It's a further discussion and not a tonight
for a
discussion.
later day, but yeah, I mean, it's something to think about. I don't know about, we have any fundraising ideas on this one?
John wants to jump in on that for his next one because he had that on the agenda for the next item. So,
Okay, sorry, I'm jumping.
No, I
Yeah.
think we can
No,
move
that's
on.
okay.
I'm with you. I think we've talked this one to the end for tonight.
John, do you think we were ready to go to the next one?
Yeah, we're all set. First of all, you should tell what Robert told you about fundraising and how it should come about. So
Sure. So, fundraising, if we are to host a fundraiser, we do need to have an auspice in which could collect the funds for the fundraiser. So this money could not come directly to the department and then be directly given to an account at the fundraiser. It has to be gifted to the department. So if there was a nonprofit that did accept the funds, or if there was just one individual that collected all the money and gifted it to the department, and then there's a vote held at the commission level to accept it, that is totally feasible. If there is a fundraiser, since I am a paid individual for the town, I cannot be present at it. So I would have to, and I cannot participate in the planning. I cannot participate in any facet of it. So I would remove myself from that conversation and just the entire experience itself. So that's pretty much how it works. We can earmark funds for specific things. So if there were to be money coming in and someone were to gift it for the Emery Park swimming area, they can gift it for the Emery Park swimming area. If someone wanted to earmark it for Park and Rec to hire ballerinas to dance through the center of town on July the July 4th, totally we can do that. So whatever our heart desires, or whatever the
As long
donor
as you're
heart
not
desires,
present.
as long as I am not present.
Got it.
So, because it would be an influencing factor, plus I'm being paid to be at a fundraiser to raise funds for the department from taxpayers and non-taxpayers. So it's just a weird, blurred.
Sure.
It's a conflict of interest. It's uncomfortable for everybody involved. So I would be removing myself from that situation.
Great.
So
So,
I'm going to bounce it back to you, John,
great,
because
thank you.
I'm removing myself from.
Well, I guess that goes to
Bit more
say,
than that.
should it even come in this forum? Or is it something that people do on their own outside of this subcommittee and the commission?
Well, it would be outside the commission, yeah, exactly.
So one,
Like, then we don't have Robert's rules and all that, like, if it's not this group,
Mhm.
it's
If we're-
individuals, then you don't have to, warn your meetings, you don't have to do.
Right.
And then after the fact, they donate the money back.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if it was a group of individuals with the similar interest in town that decided to meet and create a fundraiser and host that fundraiser, have at it.
Yeah,
But
Bill Beckrack wants to volunteer. He's been a member of the park and the pool, especially the pool. And he wants to do what he can to help us out, so.
so one thing that used to happen was there was like friends of the,
Pool.
friends of the whatever, which
Yeah.
is a separate
Yes.
group. But sometimes I feel like there was limitations on what they could raise money for.
it depends on their bylaws and what they create as a nonprofit. So that's something I can definitely talk more on. But
Is there a
think that
limit
this
to
would be
the
not-
amount an individual can donate back to the town and for a specific restricted use?
I don't believe so, but I can confirm with Barbara.
Yeah, I think
confirm.
that would answer the question, because then you don't have to go about creating a friends of entity or any of that, or use a nonprofit pass-through.
Mhm.
So
And then
I think more questions to ask, but
No, that's fine.
I think that we're onto something here, John.
Yeah, and also too that there's a lot of grants that are coming around now for the new year. So we have to be very careful. They have short dates on them now. So there's quite a few of them that we could apply for as well, besides fundraising for the state of Connecticut, and the steep grants usually end by April 1st. So we should really get onto that as well. We should have a subcommittee to search out grants to see if we can get them, so. Everybody went silent.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to look at grant stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that we need to have a subcommittee for it, but
Okay, that's
I'm
fine.
happy to take a look and see what's out there. I didn't see that much out there the last time I looked, but
There's some more that I've been keeping my eye on a few at the moment, and I do get frequent emails about when grant notices come up on some of the grant watch sites that I have, and I know that a few are coming up, so happy to share with you some of those too, Miranda. So
Okay.
you definitely chat more about that. I'm happy to take it on too.
All grants, though, do have to go through Barbara Herbst.
Yes. Yep.
Exactly.
Cool.
Alrighty, moving on.
Trails. Oh, so really awesome, important update just to share with you all. As of earlier this week, I have partnered with All Trails, and we are an All Trails public land platform. So out of this office, I'm able to manage all the stuff with Emery Park on All Trails. They're going to assist us in some promotion for the trails. It allows us to collect data on how many people have used our trails, visited our trails. It really promotes everything in the park. It helps me understand with things that are going on. So if someone does want to report, for example, if there were to be a tree down on the trail and they don't have contact with me, they can go ahead and on All Trails file and say, hey, there's a tree down, and they can let me know that that there's something down on the trail. I can go out and assemble a team to go take care of it, or if we need to close the trail because there's washout and so on and so forth. The best part is it gives me the ability to see page views and page usage. So the really awesome thing, and I just want to share this number with you because this stood out to me so much. Between August 13th and yesterday, November 13th, The Emery Park slide on, or the Emery Park page on the All Trails application has received 243 views. Doesn't necessarily mean that's how many activities or how many people have logged in to hike and claim that they've hiked there, but this is up 42.9% than from the beginning of the year. Up until May 12th versus August 12th. So to see that it's up almost 43% and 243 views, that to me really says we're starting to get our name out there and bring people back to the park. So with that said, I worked with Miranda and Heidi, and Miranda, your kids as well. We went and did blaze one of the trails. I'm still working on a few more trail concepts at the moment. I feel like it might be time to organize with the scouts to have them come out and start doing some trail clearing. And then I think it might be time to get the community engaged and do some trail maintenance and trail blazing as a community to really navigate what we have going on. I definitely am being incredibly mindful of all of the wildlife that would be on these trails and around these trails. I'm looking at current old logging paths, old coal mining paths, and current herd paths used by animals in the park so that it makes it a little more versatile and makes it a little less strenuous on the current environment when it comes to developing these trails. I'm trying to be very conscientious of not isolating any part of the park with the corridor to make sure that no wildlife is completely segmented in one specific spot. But once I have a final plan in place for the trails, I'm happy to share that with you guys. I definitely have some concepts in mind, but I want to have a final product by December the latest to share with the subcommittee for our next steps.
Good. We did get a big push from Club Getaways. They were sending over a whole bunch of people to come on the trail, so that was good.
Yay. I did have a meeting with them about camp, and they were saying that they did send some folks and they have an interest in
Exactly.
connecting trails and hiking our trails. So there is a very strong potential for a good relationship and continued relationship with Club Getaway.
So do you need a kiosk there?
We have a kiosk, but it is currently filled with a tick sign and some old, they were great. They're educational tools that just had the different types of trees. But yeah, we definitely need an upgrade of a kiosk.
So I think you should do some, research and make a recommendation to purchase.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
And I would
Yeah.
talk to Mike Van Valkenburg and see what because he does ours.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
And just to finally see with that, All Trails, they are sending me some QR codes that are going to be banners that we can post at the trail kiosks or in the park so that people can just scan with the QR code and go ahead and log on and record their hike. And I'm also working on some near frequency communicators, NFCs. They're stickers, they're weatherproof, waterproof, you name it proof. And you can just tap your phone and it'll open up the All Trails app. I'll also have it for Strava, I'll have it for Gaia, I'll have it for Avenza, and a bunch of different other hiking applications that people tend to use to record their hikes and find that data so it could be supported with use of the park for us to gain those data metrics. Cool.
Great. Anything else?
Not for me.
Great. Looking for a motion to adjourn?
Do we need to discuss the next meeting date and time?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. So next meeting and date and time after the holidays?
Yeah, I think that's probably prudent.
You're looking at March,
Well, what
January?
are our goals to?
I definitely want to get the trail information out to you guys by December. So I would like to have something. I know it's the holiday time, even January. Happy to do something in January to have the conversation so we can
Yeah.
start planning and getting that trail work done.
I think we need the chlorinated pool conversation, and now's the time to talk to pool contractors.
Because they're setting up everything for the next year. So my recommendation is definitely the latest mid-January. So we can start acting on this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
that's fine. I can I don't know, do we pick a date now or do we just wait a little while?
What about like January 16th seems like 2 months from now?
Hard to say. Yeah, I
Is that-
mean, I don't see why not.
Is that a Thursday?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Same time, same place?
Yeah, that works for me.
Same bet? No.
1/16.
Wait a second, I'm sorry. I have in my schedule, and it could be wrong, annual meeting, town, third Thursday in January.
What's the second?
So, which would be when your park and rec directors get,
Commissioners.
sorry, get reappointed and things like that. And everyone should try to be there. So maybe we do 23rd.
Yep, I have no objections to that.
Yeah, I have no objections to that.
Third is fine.
They have a conflict.
You do?
Okay. Maybe we do revisit in January and I can gather some dates right after the new year and we can set
Yeah,
something up on calendar.
Okay.
I know that we're definitely gonna have stuff coming up. So yeah, I can absolutely do that. And I'll take the responsibility on for that.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anything else?
No,
No, but I'm
motion to adjourn.
glad that we were able to talk about everything tonight and let's see what we can do for the park.
Great. Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
Bye.
Great. Thank you very much.
alright,
No.
thanks
Right.
guys,
Aye.
Good night.
bye bye.